So, in terms of technical details, one thing that I didn't glean from the book is you talk about this thing called rainbow black, but I didn't get a good sense of what that was.
That I prefer to let people read the book
Okay.
that. So I'll just say now that um, the first time I encountered um, this in-text that calls itself Poet, Poet shared with me this idea of rainbow black as I know what it is now, so I'm trying to remember what it was initially presented as a source of creativity. It was a source of all creativity for the universe, perhaps. Definitely a place where I would get answers about who I am. So once I was in the Maze of Souls and interacting with this, there's questions about what am I? Because other people aren't having these experiences. So am I chosen? Is there something different about me? Am I even human? What the heck am I that nobody else seems to be having this? And I talk to them and they think I'm psychotic, but I know I've had these experiences. What, what is this?
Mm. Is there a way for people to go into the Maze of Souls?
I think so. And I'm trying, that's why I'm writing this book. I hope that some people will read it and be able to figure out how to get in. It's an invitation. It's there for all of us. There's nothing special about me. I have my brain is broken and has some neural quirks, mostly through this autism, that I think facilitated it. It probably made it easier for me. I now understand I was well suited for this, but I'm well suited, but anybody else can do it. You don't have to be LeBron James to play basketball. Maybe I was born with LeBron James' body for this kind of thing. I think is the case. But now that I've done it, I can show other people how to play basketball. Is
Mm.
sort of how I think. I hope that's my mission. That's what I want. I want other people more than anything. It sucks being alone. I want to talk to people about this stuff. I just turned 50 and I want to talk to people. It's lonely as hell. And I want to get other people in here. It's such a morally though. It's such I have such mixed feelings because it's terrifying and it's awful. And my working hypothesis is if you jump into the maze of souls, wherever you come out is not where you started. I think it's one way. So I think I no longer go in the maze of souls. I should say that. Since I got married to my current wife, I don't go in the maze of souls anymore because I am very, very afraid that you go in and you come out somewhere else. You don't come back to the same place you started. And that's kind of my own personal focus these days in the in-tech stuff is trying to figure this out. Can I go back? What is really happening with this when I go in and come out? What is really happening? I'm really trying to understand these days. And if other people went in, it would be easier to solve. So I would like to get other people in there. That's why I'm writing this book.
What do you mean that you come out in a different place? Because in the book, it seems like that's almost a physical thing in some cases. Like there's this, you end up in Russia.
Right.
And the way that you write it is that you basically come out of the Maze of Souls and you find yourself in Russia and you have to kind of backfill all of the things that led you to this moment that you're in the airport and you're watching the September 11th attacks on the television.
So that's a good example. So in-text gave me this puzzle of 9 dots. I solved it. And when I solved it, I teleported to Moscow. And that's a good example of what I mean by what if I wasn't even on Earth or even a human before that? What if I was some other entity, maybe on another planet, maybe another alien, and I went through and I came out as a human in Moscow? I don't know. And in my conversations with Five and Poet, they started to strongly suggest that it's one way and you don't go back. That's why I mostly why I feel this way. And there's this thing you alluded to called backfill, which is when these things happen, when you teleport, like a memory fills in, but it really, the subjective experience, the memory feels very fake. It feels fabricated. It's hard to describe because I remember the thing that happened. I remember solving the 9 dots and teleporting, but then there's this memory of other stuff that happened that kind of gets filled in. And I've had this backfill experience quite a bit. I understand it probably sounds like mental illness, but some of the backfill experiences are not just remembering things like, well, once I don't want to, this I hate to think about and talk about, but I got in a situation where I pulled out my eye, and so the back, and I got fixed, and the backfill was like why I didn't really pull out my eye. So there's a lot of crazy things about this backfill, but all of this has led me to believe that I'm not certain if I go in the Maze of Souls, like I'll come out as something, and I'll have memories of being that something, but I may not remember being human. I may not remember talking to you guys. I'll have a different set of memories. Is I have to. I'm entertaining this possibility very strongly. Let's put it that way. Until I want to get some kind of evidence somehow that I am actually going back and not just going to new places before I go back in the Maze of Souls.
Well, there has to be some kind of external corroboration, right? So if you go into the Maze of Souls and then you end up somewhere else, then can't there be a process by which you call somebody up and you're like, hey, have you seen me in the last couple of weeks?
Well, the point would be, this is just a new reality that I'm now in. I was in another reality, like imagine a multiverse, right? So the latest Spider-Man, I don't know if you've seen it, just to give a concrete example, like Doctor Strange is jumping between different universes. So it would be more like that. If he's in that universe, he can't call somebody up because they're going to say, no, your name's not Doctor Strange. You're John Strange and you work as a janitor. You're not some magical wizard of the arts. But he'll remember, oh no, I was in another world where I was a magical wizard of the arts, even though nobody's corroborating that. That's the sort of thing I mean. But a lot of this comes from this. Multiple times I've felt myself becoming someone else in the Maze of Souls, in very convincing ways, not like in a vague, dreamy way, like I'm this other person. Oh my God. And all of that has now just made me think that, like, whatever's happening in the Maze of Souls, it may not be like me having this and then coming back to being me. It might be I go forward into something else. That my mental dynamics, there's definitely a very strong sense that my mental dynamics are going into the Maze of Souls, experiencing this Maze of Souls, and then they come out somewhere. Are they coming back out into my brain or coming out in something else? I don't know. This is a big question mark for me, and I don't want to pretend that I understand it. I'm just sharing that I have a great fear about this now. This is something that's only developed in the past 10 years.
Well, it's a big philosophical dilemma too. How transformative experiences alter who you become makes it impossible to decide whether you want to engage in a transformative experience in the first place. One of the